Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. It's once again MLW Fusion. This is the aftermath, or should I say, the fallout after Slaughterhouse. Anything could happen, as you know. Alex Kane is now agitated, finding out that someone decided to invade MLW, his home, by a guy who is claiming to be the real savior of MLW, and he's always ready, Matt Cardona. And we have, of course, the war raging on between, of course, St. Laurent and Mance Warner, and plenty other things taking place. And of course, we jump in then after with Impact Wrestling with our go home show before Bound for Glory. So certain things could happen before we get there, but we will see and closely what's going to happen until then. Then we cap it up with the reviews with Ring of Honor, where a couple of matches taking place. And of course, we are seeing possibly the next challengers for the ROH World Tag Team title. So we'll stay closer to that. And then we move on with our final thing, which is news updates that tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are putting out, who's booked, what matches are set, any wrestlers that either been signed or departing from the promotions, injured wrestlers, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Ears. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of reviews on pro wrestling from anywhere in the world, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, or anywhere in the world where wrestling is not as big, but it also is growing. And of course, we do some discussion videos, some more of the news updates about what's been going on in world pro wrestling, or some updates alert what's been going in real time, what's been happening, and various other things. So if you like what you see and you want to get more daily reviews, click on the subscribe button and we'll be getting more daily reviews or other cool things we'll do here on this channel. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or leave us a nice comment down below. Now, let's begin with MLW Fusion Major League Wrestling. Now, this comes out after the Slaughterhouse this past weekend. It opened up with Love Dog taking on Ichiban. Yeah. Now, those who are new don't know what Ichiban means. It means number one. So, yeah. So, basically, this is a very interesting match because I like how their story is being told with Love Dog. Now, Love Dog, who's been pursuing Becca for a while, like trying to show his affection towards her. She basically not paying attention, doesn't want nothing to do with him. But he did really put up a hell of a match against Ichiban. I think many of us would never imagine the kind of match he would throw in. And of course, even though he lost to Ichiban with the Ichiban time, he was able to gain a lot of fans who say they love him, like we love you, Doug, and all that other stuff. And of course, some messenger who had a letter for Love Doug. It came from Becca herself. I don't know exactly where that story is going to, but we will pay attention very closely to that. Now, Sam Laterna actually interviews Tom Lawler. As you know, Tom Lawler had everything under control. He believed he had the match won against Alex Kane, but he declared the referee was corrupted. And of course, he feels now, since he came back after 2 years, that MLW is not the same. And he's saying, who in the hell let Don King make decisions for the MLW world title? So that's what it pisses him off. So, but he also confessed that he is now a member of St. Laurent's group known as the World Titan Federation. So he's now part of that group now. Now, TJ Crawford and Tony Deppen, as you know, they've been becoming a somewhat of a team, and of course, they put Blackwood on the shelf. Pretty proud of himself, but however, MLW decided that it was best to suspend Tony Deppen for what he caused. Now, another interview with Sam Letourneau with Mr. Saint Laurent. As you know, he has a lot of things that he has to say, but the war between him and the Second Girl Crew is far, far from over. Now, our next match, we have main event consistent of Midas and Jay Lyons taking on Bumaye Fight Club's Mr. Thomas and what's his name, Jay Bojin. This is what we see how these two, Thomas and Bojin, will do. I have to say it was a pretty good match, not to mention bringing out the characterism about what Bumaye Fight Club is about to do. But it was Mr. Thomas with a spine buster onto Jay Lyons to pick up the win. Now, Alex Kane, as I mentioned before, he is so pissed off knowing that someone like Matt Cardona invaded MLW, claiming that this is now that he will be coming for the MLW, claiming that he is the true savior. But Alex Kane will not tolerate a guy like Matt Cardona invading his home, trying to claim that he is the true savior. But he said, stack them up, I'll beat them out. I did that with everybody that stood in my way. But the obvious question is, has Alex Kane ever dealt with a guy like Matt Cardona? We have seen what he can do outside of MLW, if you guys have been paying attention. But we just got to wait and see when that happened. Now, Mance Warner, as you know, he is not done yet. He still had some unfinished business with Matt Cardona. So he is bringing a bit of the violence. So he went out in the back. Looks like he found some objects that seemed that would help him bring in some violence. So we'll see what happens. Now, since her return, Selena De La Renta, as you know, is a proud woman who has two champions gain MLW Gold, which is, of course, Janai Kai won the MLW Women's Featherweight Championship, and, of course, Rocky Romero, the MLW World Middleweight Championship. However, she did say that Court Bauer will not be present at next week's MLW tapings, but apparently she will. So we don't know what kind of things Selena De La Renta is going to do, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, our main event, we have one called Manders taking on, of course, Matt Cardona. Now, there was a moment where Saint Laurent was attempting to recruit one called Manders, but the obvious question is, could he be bought? Well, that's the easiest part. Well, as long as if you gave him beer, that's my payment for him. But he did put up a good fight, but of course that idiot Saint Laurent got involved, and then of course then there was the radio silent that put away, of course, one called Manders and giving Matt Cardona the win. Then he puts out a promo saying that he is the true savior of MLW until he was viciously attacked by none other than Mance Warner. So this feud is far, far from over. So we will see what happens next week in MLW. But for now, let's move on with Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling. This is their go-home show before this coming Sunday for Bound for Glory, one of their biggest shows ever. So we will see what happens here and out before Bound for Glory and see what's going to happen. Now, it opened up with Mike Bailey, as you know. He is now laser focused because this coming Sunday he will be facing against Will Ospreay. But he put out an open challenge, and the person who answered it is none other than Samurai del Sol. I have to say it was a pretty good match, and I have to say it did put him in a bit of a more of laser focus than ever. I'm sure once he's done with, of course, with Will Ospreay, he probably will be taking his focus on Jonathan Gresham for how he's now behaving. But nonetheless, the match was great. But it was Mike Bailey with Ultimate Weapon that put away Samurai del Sol and giving him the win. Now, as you know, last week we saw who was going to win the last spot of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, we saw Dirty Dango. Now, Dirty Dango, as you know, he was part of the winning team that won that 5-on-5 match, and then, of course, he was the one who won the last spot. But he actually predicts now that he will be the one to win the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. But however, there's plenty of others that would definitely try to win. But if I was Dirty Dango, I wouldn't put my guard down or try to pretend that you rely on Bravo or your Russian brute to do your dirty work, because there'll be others that'll try to find ways to get rid of you. Now, as you know, Bound for Glory is getting closer. The ABC has an opportunity to rectify what was taken from them. Now remember, they lost the Impact Wrestling World titles thanks to the Rascals, since they were trying to weasel their way in a few months ago, try to establish themselves as a tag team. But now they have nowhere to go, and they will reclaim what's rightfully theirs. And then, of course, they did say they'll be too sweet to win, become two-time Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions. So we'll see what happens until we get there. Now, Kenny King, as you know, he's been agitated with the sudden interference from Heath. The match kind of had a little twists and turns in this one. There was a moment where Heath might have hurt his ankle and all that. We don't know if he was able to continue. But, however, it did continue on until Kenny King's little protege, or should I say his puppy, Sheldon Jean, decided to get involved. But it was, of course, the royal flush by Kenny King to pick up the win. So sooner or later, Kenny King will have to put himself back on the top. But the obvious question, will he do it? Well, we'll see what happens until then. Now, last week, after defeating Eddie Edwards, of course, Frankie Kazarian decided to put out that Eddie Kingston, he has nothing but respect for him no matter what, even though they're both students of the late Killer Kowalski and all this. So we'll see what happens until in the future between them. Now, our next match is a no disqualification match. We have Crazy Steve versus Black Taurus. Now, Steve has been very, very motivated and becoming psychotic, targeting Tommy Dreamer. Now, remember, he has the briefcase from the Feast and Fire, where he'll be challenging none other than Tommy Dreamer for the Digital Media Championship. But, of course, he has to place against Black Taurus. But, of course, it was the Belladonna's Kiss by Crazy Steve that put away Black Taurus. Now, before we head to Bound for Glory for the Knockouts World Championship, Trinity and Mickie James will be opponents from each other on that day. However, on this particular Impact Wrestling episode, they are teaming up to take on Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans. As you know, Giselle Shaw is not too pleased that the spotlight is now focused on Trinity, and of course with the sudden return of Mickie James. But can they coexist? That's something we will see when we get there. That's going to be our main event. Our next match, we have Moose and Brian Myers, known as the Most Professionally Wrestling Gods, take on Rhino and PCO. Now, as you know, this was a favor. They were being asked to take on Moose and PCO. Now, as you know, recently Steve Macklin has been dealing with Rhino since he came back, and basically that was happening. However, there was a good moment where PCO had Myers right where he wanted him, but of course there was the distraction outside thanks to Macklin attacking Rhino, and then Bully Ray tried to stop him until PCO got involved. But however, due to distraction, it did give Moose the spear PCO to pick up the win. So that's what happened. Now, at Bound for Glory, the Knockouts World Tag Team Championships will be defended. MK Ultra decided to put out a little propaganda video to send a direct message to their challengers, Deonna Purrazzo and Tasha Steelz. So we'll see what happens until we get there. Now, after the match between the Most Professional Wrestling Gods and PCO and Rhino confronts Bully Ray about why did he had to stop him from that. So basically, we don't know what's going on, but he did tell him to stay out of his way. But of course, Bully Ray says, "You're welcome." So we don't know what is going on. Is it really becoming soft like Steve Macklin is saying? Well, we just got to wait and see until what happened. Now, due to the situation going on involving for the Impact World Championship, Scott D'Amore decided to become a mediator between both Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander. So, of course, the same old goes on. Now, we all know that Josh Alexander did not lose the Impact World Championship. He had to relinquish it due to an injury. Shelley, who, as you know, finally won this belt, but of course, there's been different type of animosities for various reasons amongst each other. But of course, things were not going anywhere. Of course, Alex Shelley attacked Josh Alexander in his locker room, but D'Amore managed to try to separate them. So we'll see what happens until we get for Bound for Glory. Now our main event is Giselle Shaw versus Savannah Evans. To take on Mickie James and of course Trinity. I have to say they did a pretty good job between them facing off, but between both Mickie and Trinity to pick up to work together. However, they know that this is today, but a few days from now it will be between them. But it was Mickie James with the DDT onto Savannah Evans to pick up the win. So we will see what happens in Bound for Glory. I cannot speculate any predictions at this point, but we will see what happens until we get there. So I think that's pretty much it, what we have for Ring of Honor. I believe it's time to move on to our final review, Ring of Honor. Okay, our last review, Ring of Honor. It opened up with a singles match between Gravity and Angelico. Now, I have to say it was a pretty good opener. Now, Angelico, as you know, he will have a championship opportunity against Eddie Kingston. So this could be more of a warm-up for him or as a way to sharpen his skills before he faces Eddie Kingston. However, Gravity, as you know, he has been very impressive ever since then. So basically, that's what's going to happen. But I have to say, this match was pretty good. But it was a submission that put away Gravity by Angelico to pick up the win. So the obvious thing is, will Eddie Kingston be ready to take on a guy like Angelico? We just got to wait and see. Now, as a result of what happened at WrestleDream, as you know, the Righteous are not pretty much done with MJF. So they're still putting out some things about him. So basically they're calling him that he is the devil and all that. But do we think because they believe what Jay White said that, oh, it was him who attacked him? Who knows? So looks more like there's still some unfinished business. Our next match, we have the captain, Sean Dean, along with Trish Adora, to take on Pretty Peter Avalon, who's being accompanied by none other than the Hollywood hunk, Ryan Meneth. The match was pretty good. I have to say it was very interesting, and not to mention from what the commentators were saying that they were Sean Dean was wearing the colors of the Navy. As you know, they're celebrating their anniversary, the U.S. Navy's anniversary, which is a good thing. But however, I kind of figured this match we're gonna go where Meneth was gonna get involved, but he was chased away by Trish Adora. But however, Peter Avalon did everything in his power to put him away, but it did not do any good. But it was Captain Dean who actually put away Avalon when he did a body splash, and it was over right from there. Now our next match, we have Mercedes Martinez to take on Marty Bell. Now keep in mind, we know that Martinez and Diamante has some unfinished business with Athena for what's been going on. You know, as you know, Martinez was the former ROH women's champion, and possibly she would definitely want her belt back. But this match ended it by submission by Martinez to pick up the win. Now, speaking of Athena, she's not very happy how things turned out last week. So she had a meeting called the MIEM, the Minions Empowerment Meeting. So basically, after what happened last week, Athena is not going to take this kindly. So we'll see what takes place. Now, our next match, we have Tony Nese, along with that Weasel, Smart Mark Sterling, to take on Ethan Page. Now, since coming to Ring of Honor, I have to say Ethan Page has been on a roll, undefeated. But however, because of his being undefeated, Tony Nese took exception of him. He doesn't believe a guy like Ethan Page belongs in Ring of Honor. But of course, Ethan Page, since um, going to Ring of Honor, has been very helpful. But of course, it was an unbelievable match. But however, that idiot Weasel Sterling gets involved, but Nese was able to roll up Ethan Page and then, of course, use the ropes for his leverage to pick up the win. But in the end, the post match, they would try to do the code of honor. I knew Nese was such a weasel that he was going to choke that. But he also told him that he needs to lose weight. But Ethan Page was not having it. He was this close of putting that idiot weasel Sterling in the Ego's Edge. I wouldn't be surprised that Page would definitely want payback for that match. Because, of course, the records would say that Nese won. But everybody knows Nese would not tolerate Ethan Page making a play to put the entire locker room. But the obvious question does tell, did Page overlook Nese? Possibly. But, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Ethan Page would want to get payback for what he did. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a payback for last week. Billy Stark's take on Diamante. Now, Diamante was practically brutalizing Billy Starks. And, of course, you probably would have assumed that Diamante would definitely win, or Athena helping out Billy. But however, she was able to pick up the win by pinfall. But in the end, of course, there was a beatdown from Martinez and Diamante onto Billy and Athena. So they were truly targeting, of course, Athena to take her out. But however, things got way out of hand. There were chairs being brought up. Even the officials were trying to stop this, but it did not go any well. Now, our next interview, as you know, we have, of course, Cole Carter, Griff Garrison, and Maria Kanellis. So the idea is now, as you know, can they coexist now? I know there's been a lot of bumps on the road for this team. And, of course, Cole Carter has, of course, a gift from Maria. But I don't know if that was a smart move out of him, but we'll see. Our next match is a Pure Rules match. We have Pat Buck versus Josh Woods. So this was a match, of course, that was set by Sterling. But this is a way to Josh Woods to get himself back on top for another shot of the Pure Wrestling Championship that currently is being held by none other than Katsuyori Shibata. But it was, of course, Josh Woods by submission to Pat Buck and won the match. So it's only a matter of time until he makes that final play to get his hands on the Pure Wrestling Championship. Now, our next match is a tag team match. We have Griff Garrison and Cole Carter taking on Myron Reed and Ren Jones. I have to say, it seems that Cole Carter and Griff Garrison were able to pick up their momentum, but it was, of course, a very good combination at the end by Carter and Griff onto Ren Jones, but it was, of course, Griff that picked up the win. So hopefully they can try to build up more matches like this, but we will see what happens. Now, Dalton Castle, as you know, he's gone a bit off the rails a little bit. He's not been very happy how things have not been going his way, especially when he's trying to get himself back on top. So we'll see what happens with him till then. Our next match, we have Allison Kay versus Kiera Hogan. Pretty good match. I mean, I did like how everything was going, but however, I was a bit biased because, these two are very interesting wrestlers to watch. But in the end, it was Kiera Hogan who picked up the win by a pinfall, sending a message. Now, there are those who believe that Kiera Hogan could be the next potential challenger for the ROH Women's Championship, but we will see about that. Now, this next match, you can say it's a squash match. The Righteous takes place. They take on against two guys, I don't know their names, but it was, of course, Vincent with the Autumn and Sunshine to pick up the win. Our next match, we have Lady Frost taking on Zoe Lynn. I have to say, pretty good one. I think they're building up more with Lady Frost, but she was able to pick up the spin cycle, which is something that, what's his name? Caprice Coleman thought of. But, of course, we will see more of Lady Frost down the line. Our next match, we have two excellent luchadors. Metalik and Commander. So you probably can guess this was going to be a high spot type of match. Well, it did. I wasn't too sure where they're going to go with this one, but it was Commander with the shooting star press that put away Metalik. So yes, so that's pretty good right there. Our next match is a three-way tag team match. We have the Workhorsemen, Drake and Henry, taking on the Gates of Agony, Khan and Leona. And of course, we have Andretti and Darius Martin. This was, of course, like maybe a way to see who will be most likely to pursue the ROH World Tag Team Championships. But in the end, it was the Gates of Agony to pick up the win on Darius Martin. And of course, sending a direct message to Better Than You, baby. So that's something we will see down the line. So we'll find out what happens until then. So I think that's pretty much it for our reviews. I believe it's time for news updates. Welcome to our news update. So this is what we have so far for everyone. Now this one was of course posted by Pierre Russo Fusion, which is of course very interesting things that are going on in Japan. However, this one got my attention for everyone. They posted out saying that Adam Copeland, better known as Edge, has teased that he would like to do the G1 Climax. Now, I'm sure everybody would like to see that. Now, of course, many WWE wrestlers never get an opportunity to go to the G1. We saw that with, of course, what's his name? With John Moxley a couple years back. And of course, we could see that with any other wrestler. I know Claudio Castagnoli had talked about it, but seeing Edge, that would be a dream come true for him. It would be also epic. I'm sure the world will be watching this. But as you know, we are already done with the G1. We'll just got to wait and see what happens until the next year. Now, interesting developments have been coming around about this. It appears that CM Punk and Impact Wrestling have been sort of talking. Now, there was rumors and speculations about Punk making his appearance at Bound for Glory, since the pay-per-view will be in this Sunday at Chicago. Now, it's not the first time that Punk made an appearance at Impact Wrestling, but you can say that maybe Impact has a good interest in having him, but the obvious thing is, could they afford him? That is something that we don't know. But we will stick close to this as much as possible if anything has changed. Now, more updates coming up for the GCW events for next month in November. For the Please Buddy show, they announced that, of course, the couple, Charlie Evans and Everett Connors, will be making the return to GCW. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, as you know, since today is Thursday and tomorrow will be Friday, we do have, of course, Mystico making his appearance at Rampage, which was already been recorded and will be broadcast on Friday. But, however, CML did put out a statement about the hospitality that, of course, AEW put out. So here's what the statement they put out. CML wants to express their sincere gratitude to Senor Tony Khan and AEW for their care providing to our talent and our Director General, Senor Salvador Lutherath, during the tapings. AEW Rampage that took place yesterday in Rosenberg, Texas. We wish to reiterate our firm intention that collaboration between CML and it could be fruitful and beneficial for both parties and can be the start of a solid alliance. The opportunity to show our talent and international stage like AEW Rampage has been an honor and privilege for us. We are extremely grateful for warm welcome by the AEW fans during the singles match between Mystico and Rocky Romero, which will be transmitted October 20th, 9 Central. Now, I know some of you are going to question this. Wait a minute. If they really are looking for an alliance between what happened with AEW. Now, there's been talk about this recently, about certain things that's been going on with AEW and AAA. Now, Conan said he lost all hopes with AEW's talent. Now, if you guys remember, apparently they were not happy with Sammy Guevara and and Ty Mello because of them not defending the AAA mixed tag team titles that often. So there was been talk, but Conan did mention that AAA would rather have Kenny Omega as the true star of AEW being at AAA. But many fans would say it would be a good opportunity. Now think about it. I feel like maybe the relationship, in my opinion, towards CML, between AEW and AAA have not been going well so much. We don't see much of the AAA talent coming in to AEW. But I think certain fans would say that they could cut their losses with AAA and move on with CMLW. And there's a reason why to that. We know that CMLW does have a good relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. That is not far off. I mean, we could see that could happen. It's the same thing what happened with Ring of Honor and New Japan, Ring of Honor, and of course CML. We could see something similar like that. But we know that AEW has the capability to work with any promotion. I mean, not only they work with various promotions from all over the world, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure there'll be certain talent they will like to bring in from various promotions to see how that works out. But I'll stay close to this, a little bit closer, to see what happens here and out between both promotions. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we have AEW Rampage. Of course, we cannot wait to see Mystico versus Rocky Romero. That is going to be an epic match. There's some other matches that will be taking place, but we also will see NXT level up. I can't wait to see who's going to level up on this particular day. But I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put any other shows to review prior before that, but we'll just got to wait and see. I'm just going to wing it, because there's still some I haven't seen just yet. But if there's anything else, I'll let anybody know. So, but for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.